I want to start this video off by saying I have a lot to be truly thankful for. I'm thankful for all of you who show up and support every single video that I drop. It's because of that support why I blew past 3K and I am now firmly on the road to 4K. That being said, I've been off for a couple of weeks because some asshole took over my Chucky reviews. And don't worry, I'll deal with him soon enough. But right now, it's time for me to get back to doing what I do best. And that's ripping the Chucky TV series to shreds. Let's discuss. Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
So the season finale of Chucky felt more like a premiere than it did anything else. The show kind of switches gears and does a little bit of a time jump to Christmas time, with the characters trying to return to some kind of normalcy after Chucky was killed. But we all know that you can't keep a good gay icon down.
All I can tell you, sir, is that he's gay.
In fact, it's quickly revealed that Chucky pulled yet another bait and switch, and he transferred himself over into the therapist's body off-screen, which would have been a nice reveal in this episode if they hadn't already spoiled it at the end of the last episode. Chucky missing the basic fundamentals of compelling storytelling. I just think this episode would have been at least a little bit more interesting if Chucky's fate was left up in the air. But as always, the Chucky TV series has to be as subtle as a fucking sledgehammer. Another thing that I didn't quite understand is how it's revealed that Chucky asked the therapist for advice about how to get one of the kids to flip. So basically they're saying everything that happened in season 1 and 2 was because of her. I don't know, I just feel like a maniac like Chucky could have came to the conclusion on his own that if you traumatize people enough, they just might snap.
All it takes is a little push.
Also, at the beginning of this episode, Chucky ends up transferring himself right back into another doll. So all of this felt pretty pointless in the end. Once we hit Christmas season, Lexi is in rehab, and she's blaming her mother for her being a bitch. This show has been desperate all season to make her character sympathetic. But at this point, not even a poorly written addiction story could get me on board with her. I do have to admit, it's always great to see the Christmas setting in any horror story, or at least what's supposed to be a horror story. So I did think the time jump worked in that aspect. It kind of gave the final episode this aesthetic that the rest of the show is seriously lacking. Jake ends up staying at Lexi's house for the holidays, and surprise, surprise, Devin is there too. And thus we commence to dedicate a large portion of this episode to their teen bullshit drama. Jake buys Devin a podcasting bundle as a gift, and Devin isn't impressed because podcasting, in his words, is so last year. Yeah, tell that to Joe Rogan, asshole. The point they are trying to drive home here is that Jake is so disconnected that he doesn't even know who Devin is anymore. Or apparently what Devin wants. And all Devin really wants is simple, punchable face Jake. But seriously, their relationship issues have taken up so much of this show this season, and they've been going on for what seems like forever, that I kind of feel validated when I said in my very first Chucky review that this was the goal all along. Chucky was basically just being used as a platform to get this specific relationship on screen.
Message!
We also have more Glenn and Glenda nonsense. Glenda tells Tiffany that if they die, meaning Glenn, that they die, meaning Glenda. And Tiffany knows that there's only one way to stop they from dying. And the pronoun game is starting to hurt my brain a little bit. So Glenn and Glenda are both transferred back into their doll, now named Gigi, which might be the most terrifying and unsettling thing on the entire show.
What the hell am I looking at?
But at least they have Jennifer Tilly herself as an acting coach, who unsurprisingly tells them to go over the top with their British accent. Anyway, Tiffany then makes her way to Lexi's house, because Lexi's sister has a doll for Tiffany to transfer into. And this is all leading to all the characters converging at one spot again. Stop me if you've heard this before. So Jake and Devin make up during a sleepover they have, and Jake admits once again that everything is his fault. And Jake might be the most annoying character on television. The way he constantly flip-flops between being emotional and erratic to realizing he's been the problem the entire time, at this point it's just like, stop the bus, I'm ready to get off.
I don't give a fuck.
Tiffany shows up at the Lexi household and breaks in, and Lexi's mom catches her, but she starts fangirling a little bit because she thinks she's Jennifer Tilly. Just then, Chucky attacks with a super quiet chainsaw and chops Lexi's mom in half. And this was probably the most traditional horror moment all season. Moments later, Lexi ridiculously lets out a battle cry as she jumps from the second-story balcony onto Chucky, subduing him. Which looked as fucking stupid as it sounds. Lexi has now been pushed to her limits because Chucky killed her mother that she only started liking about 5 minutes ago. The character arcs in this show are truly mesmerizing. Lexi then hacks up Chucky with his own chainsaw in gory detail, by the way. And I have to admit, back-to-back horror moments had me thinking I was watching a completely different show for a moment. Somewhere in the house, Jake and Devin set a trap for Tiffany and then stab her, and as they are threatening to call police, Lexi's crazy little bitch sister shows up with the doll and a knife. And she tells Lexi that she's not her real sister, and that woman who's cut in half downstairs is not her real mother, and that Chucky told her everything and Tiffany is her real mother. She either is now or always has been, I don't know, it doesn't really matter.
Nobody cares.
So Tiffany, Caroline, and the doll leave. And Jake and company blame all of this chaos to the cops on Jennifer Tilly, who the cop refers to as an overrated actress. And he is now my new favorite side character, ladies and gentlemen. So then the teacher from season 1 shows up, and the kids want to tell her everything about Chucky, and thus we have our setup for an apparent season 3, I guess.
Why?
We also get a little outro where Nika threatens Tiffany, and Tiffany tries to transfer herself into Lexi's sister's doll. But swerve, it's not a real doll, it's Chucky in drag. This moment inspired these type of reactions on Twitter, where people are now praising the yesified Chucky. They literally yes-queened Chucky. You can't make this shit up.
Why do these things always happen to me?
Overall, Chucky Season 2 was pretty much what I expected it to be. A show that's trying really hard to be campy and quirky on purpose, but it's done in a way that makes it just feel poorly executed instead. And thus I continue to question the tone and direction of this show altogether. I think something a little bit more serious with some dark humor sprinkled throughout, like the early Child's Play films, would have been a better option here.
That makes sense.
The characters feel like over-the-top caricatures more than they do actual living, breathing human beings, which actually could have worked with a more competent script and a more focused direction for the entire show. Chucky Season 2 didn't disappoint because I had very low expectations going in. That's why I'm going to give this season the Angry Rocky.
That's right, it stinks!
I've been searching for the source of Cancel Joe's transmission for days now. Combing every single video he created. Every broadcast interruption. I haven't turned up much. But if I'm lucky, he said something to give his location away. I won't stop until I find it. Maybe I just did.
I don't know why boss is always on my case. Do a perimeter check, Francis. Find real shit, Francis. Update my social media status, Francis.
You thought you had me, didn't you, man baby? Well, it's gonna take a lot more than that to stop me. And I have bigger plans for you and the rest of the YouTube world. You could have made it easy on yourself. You could have just given me your channel like you were supposed to. Instead, you chose to fight back. And now, the consequences will be even greater. Not only will I cancel you, I will cancel everything and everyone you've ever loved. Every movie that's ever inspired you. My goal moving forward is to ruin your past, your present, and even your future. And I'm going to do it on your channel. You see, I have access to your channel now, which means Cancel Joe gets his own show. And there's nothing you can do about it but sit there and watch me dismantle everything you love on your own platform. Because that's what an incel like you deserves. Yes, Queen!
Y'all be cool. Right on.